Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. I want to introduce project number 4 in our hand tool workshop. First we did the candle box, second was the hall table, third was the bookcase. We've yet to do that one to show you. But this is number 4. Number 4 was the first time that we moved into using something a little more difficult. So we went from pine to using black cherry. And if you have sharp tools, it doesn't make that much of a difference. It's probably more perception than anything else. Anyway, this is a little shaker creation. What we introduced here was drawer construction. Mortise and tenon joints again, because we'd already done that on the hall table. Probably just dealing with hardwood would be the single biggest thing, other than the fact that we built a drawer. So the top is made out of 2 pieces, and again, the thing to do was to hide the glue joint as good as possible, and that one came out really nicely. The frame has, can't even remember, it's been a while. Oh yeah, so the side piece is mortised. Both side pieces are solid pieces of cherry that are mortised into the leg, and again I used a double mortise to allow a little more meat to remain in the leg. And then the other side was made flush on the inside so that it would act as the runner for the side runner anyway for the drawer. And I pegged the mortises with a single wooden peg. Now this bottom piece, there's a frame on the bottom and there's a frame on the top. The frames are mortise and tenon as well. I used a dowel right here for this piece of frame to attach to the leg. So that dowel acted as a pin for the mortise as well, because it would have gone through the leg, through the mortise coming from this side piece and then partially into the other side of the leg. On the bottom, the panel was pine. In fact, all the 3 of the 4 pieces were pine, and again I used that round bottom plane I have just to dress this up a little bit. Again, just a little something different. The top is attached to allow for seasonal expansion. So what we did there was simply used a screw with a washer in a larger diameter hole, so the movement would go equal of center. And then as far as the drawer goes, remember all these pieces are dimensioned from rough, including all the drawer pieces. We used aspen on the drawer side, and the drawer sides are nice and thin, look to be about 3/8 of an inch, maybe even a little bit less, but dovetails front and back will allow for very thin drawer sides because of the extra strength that it gives. And that was a traditional half-blind dovetail. And then the bottom is made up of 3 pieces of northern white cedar, and that's held in place with single screw in a slot that allows for seasonal movement. So the drawer is actually sitting in 3 grooves. It is glued on the front. It seats right on the bottom of the groove on the 2 side pieces, and as it moves this way, obviously it slides underneath the head of that screw, and that prevents anything from cracking. What else do I want to show you about that? The back is aspen as well. Now this is eastern aspen, it's not Quakin aspen that you would have in the western part of the continent. And the reason I like it is it's nice and white, so it really offers strong contrast to just about any end grain out of any hardwood when it comes to drawer sides. And of course we bought the drawer front, but that just happened to be the one that looked best on it. And good drawer construction allows for a drawer that'll fit in the opening there, so that you can close it by pushing in on the bottom corner and nothing binds. You have to allow for seasonal movement for up and down. That's the way your wood is going to expand. But you don't want any side-to-side slop at all. And it turned out nicely. I used a little chamfer on both the frame and on the drawer so that when you close it, the chamfer breaks that joint. So if there's any variation or discrepancy in the 2 pieces here, it's not noticed because of the chamfer. And then I use that little chamfer on the drawer's legs, on all the frame pieces, on the top as well. And if you look underneath, it's pretty simple construction, but again, when you start with rough pieces and you have to bring that all down by hand, it's a bit of a challenge, but it was fun. Can't remember how many episodes. Do you remember how many we took on that? Anyway, it's on the site. I'm going to guess, and it was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 episodes, which would have been about 25 hours of work. And that's right for something that size. Anyway, that's part of our online hand tool workshop. We broadcast a half-hour episode every Tuesday, every Thursday. They're stored so you can watch them anytime, and you can watch them as often as you like. And of course, they're sequential. The only editing we do is when we're filming. If we're going to do something for the third or fourth time, we may stop the camera, do that little bit off camera just to save some time, and then pick it up again. We have a form attached to the online workshop, so if you have questions, you can ask them. I try to monitor that 2 or 3 times a day, and sometimes if it's a really good question or a complicated question, we'll actually go in and we will film the answer prior to our next episode, and then we usually put that in a separate section where everybody has access to. Anyway, you are welcome to go on there and try our free month introduction. It'll give you 30 days to browse around and look at some of the episodes. Simply go to free month on, I can't help but smiling every time I say this because it's so long and stupid, but free month on RobCosman.com, and it'll take you right to it. All right, look forward to having you back in the shop soon. I thought I'd give you a quick peek of what we're working on currently. This is a walnut wall cabinet, again shaker style. It's not completed, and the reason why there's a finish on there, because we only film 2 half-hour episodes a week, this gets stretched out over a fairly long period of time, and to protect the wood from dirt and, or not dirt, but well, handprints and whatever, I just put a quick coat of finish on there that will eventually end up sanding down before we put the rest of the coats. Okay, so what have we got? Well, door construction. We've yet to put our handle, but that's actually, we're going to make a little locking knob, a knob that will turn to lock. So we've done fairly large mortise and tenon work here, and then a frame or a panel sitting in the frame. A bit of a rabbet on the underside, smooth on the outside. We learned to mortise hinges so that they fit properly. And then in the back, this is a fixed shelf, and the back is actually solid wood panels. We did 4/4 stock that we milled and then ripped down through the middle, and that's a rabbet joint that allows for expansion. And these are only going to be held on with a little dab of glue in the middle, and then a finish nail on either side, of course on the back, and that will allow that wood just to move enough so that seasonally it can expand. Finish on all these pieces came right off of the hand plane. We have dovetails on the top and on the bottom, of course, and then we shape this top bull nose all with hand tools, and then this quarter round is done, of course, with hand tools as well. I had my hand plane, and actually we used a hand plane on this, got it as close as possible, and then we had to sand it to final finish. I really couldn't think of any other way to get that perfectly smooth finish. If you left it off a hand plane, you'd still end up with a number of little facets, and we didn't want that. And then the back slats that this supports, this is designed to hang off of shaker pegs, and they had 2 holes so you could adjust the height. But the back slats are made out of one piece. We did all of the shaping, and then we ripped it down the middle with the handsaw, and 2 shapings give you one shaping gives you 2 pieces. Anyway, that's what our current project is, and I can't remember what episode we're on that one either, but I think that's going to be somewhere around 100 episodes or even more. So if that interests you, join us. See ya.